Hello, how you doing? You see the episode of the video, title of the video. Let's get to it. You're familiar, aren't you? Have you any prowess in battle? Good. I could use your help with something. You see, I was asked to assess the one-eyed giant created as a facility guard, and so pit it against Lotsits to test its fighting skills. Not only did the giant fall to a single blow, the Lotsits went into a frenzy and escaped. In my opinion, compact familiars like you are far more effective than these overly large brutes, and this is my chance to prove it. Do you think you can handle our runaway combatant? Fine, I'll help. Of course, you'll be well rewarded for your efforts. Our experiment was conducted to the east, so that's as good a place as any to start looking for the Lotus. There it is. It would seem the escaped Lotus came back of its own accord. They usually feed off the foes to revitalize themselves, and I imagine it hungers after running amok like that. I'll take care of the situation here. The Lotus is all yours. You certainly made quick work of that Lotus. I had a feeling I could count on you. As for the giant, it's far too heavy for us to move. I'll arrange for some broad-backed creations to haul it away after we return to Pokos. As I suspected, a smaller, more agile concept has far more facility for adapting to combat situations. Thank you for proving my theory. I'll be sure to keep your performance in mind the next time I design a familiar. Your reward, as promised. A rather unusual familiar, aren't you? I haven't seen your concept on file at the Bureau or the Architect, and I've never come across anything like you in my years of research. Your Asm's familiar. Well, that certainly explains it. Her creations are truly something else. I'm even more intrigued now. Would you mind if I observed you for a time? I'll make it worth your while, of course. Fantastic. I can hardly wait to get started, but not here. The study I'd like to conduct requires we relocate to the west of Ways. Please come and join me when you're ready. Thank you for coming, so much for coming. Now let's get straight to business. All you need to do is reach out and touch some orpheus sunflowers. They're pretty blooms, light blue in color, and they emit these, well, bubbles, which enthrall any overly curious creatures. Think of it as a defense mechanism. It has no effect on sapient beings such as myself, but I'm fascinated to know how it will affect you. Fear not, I will be sure to intervene should you begin to fall under its spell. I would never have a familiar leave a familiar to such a fate, and especially not a familiar created by Azim. Now, I've created three flowers of varying sizes and potencies. We'll begin with the smallest and the weakest. Oh, I may be able to protect from you from the flower itself, but if any nearby beasts are already under its influence, I'm afraid you'll have to be the one to protect me. Fighting was never my forte. Whoops. Oh, I see. You touch the flower, it doesn't seem to affect you. No. Reaction, interesting. Let's try a more powerful one, shall we? You touch the flower, you don't feel any different. Still nothing. Well, let's see how you fare against an exceptionally large one. Incredible. Even a flower this size has no effect on you whatsoever. I thought for sure you would be enthralled. Considering the sparse nature of your ether, it simply doesn't make sense, as it must possess a mastery which eludes me. In any case, that ends our experiment. I'll dissolve these blooms and meet you back at Potek and Okios. Thank you for lending me your time. It was most enlightening, not to mention perplexing. You have so little ether, yet something keeps you resistant to outside influence. Your physical constitution, perhaps? It's something to consider when creating familiars in the future, at least. I promised you a reward, didn't I? Here you go. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some data analysis and concept planning to do. Aw. Those are some levels of aether you have there. Even for a familiar, that must be awfully inconvenient. Let's say you assist me with an experiment that could help increase your reserves. Indeed, one more ingredient before I get started. If you could get your hands on a bit of some of slime from an Edios in the forest, that would be a great help. They use illusionary magics to mimic the shape of nearby creatures, so it'll be tricky to find one, but not impossible. Keep your eyes peeled for anything acting out of place. Once you think you've located an Adios, use this crystallized concept to dispel the illusion. It should then be a relatively simple task to defeat the creature and obtain a nice helping hand full of gunk. Oh, But be warned, if you use the crystal on anything else, it tends to react violently. Should you make a mistake, there is no shame in beating a hasty retreat. Back so soon, and with the slime, I hope. If only every familiar were as useful as you. With this, I can make a potion to increase your aether production. All the other ingredients are in order: hippogriff brain, a monochorus horn, and Ophion entrails. The concoction will supplement any natural deficiencies, relying on the carmelionic properties of the slime to generate aether compatible with your existing etheric signature. Clever, yes? Once this has been brewed for a bit, it will be ready to drink. Oh, this is so exciting. I can hardly wait to see just how explosive the increase to your ether will be. So remember, I have something important to do. Oh, I meant to be of service, but it seems I've kept you from other duties instead. My deepest apologies. Perhaps you can come back for the potion, but in the meantime, take this for your troubles. Are you quite alright? Even for a mere familiar, you appear to be suffering from the most distressing dearth of ether. Do let me know if you require help, yes? Greetings. I am a researcher from the words of Mitrion. I've dedicated my life to studying and creating aquatic life, but my main focus is in the development of new shark species. My latest creation has completed its round of observation at Anagorasis and will be released after one final test. The thing is, I'm hoping to consult with a taxonomist before the Bureau of the Architect hands down its official registration. The same one who named my last shark, if I can prelude, Barbados, was such a marvelous name. It turns out it's rather difficult to track down a specific person in a place such as this. Could you help me? Thank you. Here it takes us. It's a model of the previous creation I just mentioned. Whenever named, it should hopefully be able to recognize it. Whoever named it should hopefully be able to recognize it. Was there something I could help you with? Who named this species? I'm sorry, I haven't a clue. Certainly not me. What's that you have there? Oh, a Prelude Bralos. Of course I know it. I named it after all. Its creator was calling it Ledeshoshesh, but I decided to go with something more closely tied to its distinct way of moving. I wanted to really capture the image of it rushing forward with its tiny steps, somehow swift and slow at once. In case you were curious, the name comes from a proverb meaning more haste, less speed. And if the creator wishes me to name her newest creation, I would of course be honored to do so. It's in Anagoras, you say. I look forward to seeing it soon. Any luck finding my taxonomist? You found him, and he's willing to give you the new one a name too. That is wonderful news. The latest creation is actually a direct improvement over the last. I gave it more legs for a total of 8 so it can move even more quickly over land. With that taken care of, I need to hurry back to Anagoras, sis. Before I go, here, a token of my gratitude. Aren't you a looking familiar? Tell me, whom do you belong? Oh, you're Ansem's, are you? She is a goodly sort, wouldn't you say? Always appearing in times of trouble to extend a hand to those in need. And given that I am one such, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I borrowed you for a bit. A lengthy debate was held in Katistas, Siberia regarding the evaluation of creations. Meticulous minutes were taken during said forum, which I would like you to fetch for me. A dear friend in Amara asked for them, you see, and I plain forgot all about it. Now, if you would be so kind, I will send word to the scrivener in charge and ask them to await your coming in front of Peripetia Crystalline, where the documents are being held. Once you have the notes, return to me here. You're the familiar, then. Very good. Here are the records of the forum. Careful now. It's a sizable stack of volumes. Try not to drop any on your way back. Carry the forum minutes to the forbearing visitor waiting up for without. These are the documents I requested. My word, they must have been terribly heavy. The fiend I spoke of is involved in the operation of Amnestis Ander, a facility which houses myriad concepts, cogitations, and ideas. He felt that certain procedures, especially the ones concerning living creations, were lacking in information. Thus, he sought detailed records that he might fill in the blanks, so to speak. I believe you're owed a little reward for your help. I'll think over what to offer you while I pack my belongings for the journey ahead of me. Come see me at the entrance to Poketan Okios. I'm sure I'll have made up my mind by then. There you are. I finished my packing, and as it so happens, have hit upon a most commiserate gift. My favorite food, and freshly made too. Try it. I'm sure you will love it. Farewell, familiar. Give my regards to Azim. Okay. voice. Two sex. Okay. Excuse me. May I ask a favor? A colleague of mine from the Thalasai is overdue to make his report, and I need someone to give him a gentle nudge. He's currently over at Rumination's Ramble, observing some life forms newly hatched from one of our creations. But I'm afraid I'll skew the data if I show up and startle them. A familiar like you, however, should cause much less of a disruption. Would you be so kind? A familiar, can I help you with something? Oh, time to head back, is it? I was so enraptured watching the young ones frolic that I lost track of time. Come everyone. We really must be going. So you want to play? I guess we shall have to appeal to your bellies then. Would you like to try feeding them? They become much more compliant after eating some of these treats, and they're so adorable when they nibble. Isn't it fun watching them romp around? And they really seem to like you. Do you work with young ones often? These babies are aquatic creatures by nature, but we're modifying them to adapt to life on land. They mostly eat marine insects and shellfish, and some of the larger carnivores feed off them in turn. They also carry their eggs on their backs until they're ready to hatch. Fascinating, aren't they? Oh, but that's not why you're here, is it? I really must head back. Thank you for fetching my associate. If you hadn't been sent to fetch me, I might have been out there for days. In any case, it's only a matter of time before our creations are approved for release into the wild. I wonder what name they'll receive. Thank you for all your help today. Here's as thanks. Oh dear, I'm starting to worry some. It's my colleagues, you see. We heard this horrid screech from a Melion and he went wrestling off to check what all the fuss was about. I was thinking of following after him, but, well, just look at me. You, however, appear well versed in combat and all such sanguinary escapades. Perhaps you might see if aught is amiss and ensure my coworker hasn't come to any harm. That's very kind of you to agree to such a request. The last I saw of him, he was racing for the southern end of Calmilios Ephesos. Do promise to hurry. I'm half afraid he has wound up on the wrong side of some nasty fiend's fangs. That was so much too close for my liking. Your timing was truly immaculate. I was quite trapped and would have been gobbled up if not for your timely interference. It was the agitated cries of the Melion which brought me here. When I arrived to see what inspired such howling, I discovered this fellow being set upon by that raging creature. I didn't hesitate to insert myself into the fray, of course. I should be fine, but it's the familiar for whom I'm most concerned. Could you make it sure it's unharmed? The familiar appears free of any injuries, scrapes, or bruises, and has left behind a dazzling carrot, as if to say thank you. Deliver the carrot to the long-haired observer. A relief to know they are not too severely injured. Oh my, what is that? You say the creature left it behind. A striking color for a carrot, wouldn't you say? Perhaps this was its way of showing its gratitude with a thoughtful creature, and one I've never seen before. Whose familiar could it be, I wonder? I will perform an investigation upon my return. Now then, shall we head back to Polten Okios? I'm in a rather sorry state and would like to get cleaned up as soon as possible. How very good it is to see you again, my friend. The one whom you plucked from the jaws of death itself is seeking treatment for his wounds as we speak. I heard that entire tale, how a rabbit familiar was on the scene. Mistress Vanat was said to be researching one such familiar, or that's the story anyway. Perhaps the one you came across is related to that business. Well, regardless of its origins, it sounded like a rather polite creature, as I was told it left behind a sort of gift. Yet, I shan't be outdone by a bunny, charming though it surely is. Here you are, a present. It's nothing special, but I hope it proves as scrumptious as the carrot our mysterious familiar bestowed upon you and my colleague. Is the quest. Yeah. Alright, so two more. What a sight! And Ampello sneezed and sent turfs of cloud mallow flying every which way. But while highly amusing, I'll never be able to gather them all up alone, unless you're willing to lend a hand. Thank you so much. Let's split up and start looking for them. Be on the lookout for fluffy white plants floating around Protekinokos, and bring any you find back here. Oh, I see. Did you find any of the plants? Perfect. It's such a relief to have them back. A somewhat amateur creator invented the concept to bring more life into the clouds, which is all well and good, but they get blown away far too easily. It would be nice if they were a bit more wind resistant. We need to know they can settle in a place without fear of them flying off because some beast breathed on them too hard. Well, I'd better put them back where they belong before a light breeze undoes all our hard work. Here, take this as thanks for your help. Would you assist me, familiar? As I'm sure you are aware, the floating island of Elpis were created to provide suitable habitats for our various creations. In order to maintain their respective environments, however, surveyors such as myself must make regular assessments of their ethereal composition. To that end, I was planning to take samples from the Melion habitat with my partner, but it seems he had an urgent engagement, something about an unscheduled meeting with a member of the Convocation of 14. Though I'm now faced with handling this rather grueling task alone, waiting until he returns is simply not an option. As I said, it's important to gather data at regular specific intervals. And thus am I requesting your help. So what say you? Would you be willing to accompany me in my place of my partner? Certainly. Many thanks. I'll be sure to reward you for your efforts. Right, let's hurry along then. We'll need to make our way to the south. Ah. The rocks in this area contain ores that can tell us about the environmental ether. We'll have to break them apart with destructive magics to collect the necessary samples. You may find that difficult with your inherent limitations, but I have a little something to help you with that. Here, use this concept crystal to shatter the outcrop of the rock, then bring any ore fragments to me. Start in the east if you would. I'll start working elsewhere and we can meet back here. How did you fare? Excellent. This should give me all the information I need. Let's head back, shall we? Thank you. Without your aid, I wouldn't have been able to properly observe how the introduction of Melanoi has affected their habitat's aether. It's important to keep careful track of the environment here to make any necessary adjustments. The terrain, the flora, everything that makes up the habitat must be meticulously controlled to fit each subject's under observation. Though I applaud my partner's enthusiasm for learning at the foot of a convection, convection member, we cannot neglect these fundamental, albeit tedious, facets of our work. Okay, that's it for Elpis. Minus this one quest where I don't do quests that don't give me quest markers. But I might one day, in like one video, all of them. Heavens forfeigned to think this would happen in my kitchen. The nerve. Oh, you, there. Yes, you. You've the look of a woman who knows what she's about. And I'm in desperate of one such as you. Picked myself a bushel of Mariol agronomics apples, but wouldn't you know? Some nasty mandragora swiped those red beauties from under my nose. Not sure how they got in here in the first place, but that's besides the point. I could very well try to seal them back myself, but goodness knows how many hours it'd be before I stumbled upon that blasted bandit. I'm only one woman. I can't cover all that ground by myself. So be a friend and help me get my apples back, would you? I just knew you'd oblige me. Now then, let's talk strategy. I'll scour the area just south of here. So you take the north, deal? Mandaguras bury themselves in the dirt to hide, so if you see one of their bulbous heads poking out of the soil, hit them with one of these Melodorus bombs. They'll be so surprised to get a face full of stink they'll leap out and leap behind my apples. The thief will probably take off running, but let them go. I just want my pilfered fruit returned. Besides, Mandragora carcasses isn't on the menu tonight. Right then, I'll leave you to your search. Happy hunting. The Godsmack garlic is so affronted by your pestering it has fled. It does not appear to be the culprit you were after. The offended onion takes no leave of you as it darts off. It does not appear to be the culprit you were after. One left. The quizzical queen up and flees in a flustered state. leaving behind apples. It would appear that this connivish mandragora was behind the fruit napping. Ah, there you are. I've come up empty handed, sad as that is to admit. How did you fare? Were you able to recover the apples? You were. Oh my, I can't thank you enough, goodness me. Now that I've a proper look at them, they're rather enormous, aren't they? Funny how I didn't see that before. Labyrinthos, as you've surely noticed, is entirely man-made, and our continued prosperity is thanks in part to the elemental reactor and the false sun. Though, if truth be told, those two things are likely to blame for our oversized fruit. Word is that there is research afoot to see if the above ground orchards could produce something of a similar size as well. Given what little we know, though, I'm sure that day is quite a long way off. Oh, begging your pardon, here I am, talking your ear off when I'm sure you've better things to be getting on with. Heavens no, I certainly do. Apple pies don't bake themselves, now do they? Thank you again for your help. Alright, I'm gonna call it here. Thanks for watching. As always, have a good day or night, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.